So the first thing I wanted to do is just see if I could have you to introduce yourself individually. What your full name is, what your role is with the project, and just kind of a little introduction. Crystal, would you
Yay.
mind starting for us?
I will start. I'm Crystal Skillman. I'm a playwright, and I wrote this Zoom play, and now it's a Zoom film. And also, I am the author of plays like Open that premiered this summer at the Tank in New York. And also, I'm the book writer of a musical called Max, the musical that just premiered in Europe and was just live streamed, which was really exciting for these times. And I'm also the writer on a musical called or a play with musical called The Show Is Money, which is in development with the Civilians. We're part of their R&D group, and they just shared a song by Gabby Alter today, and a bunch of other projects, but those are the main ones right now.
Amazing. Thank you. That right Hersh, your face. There's so much. She's
Excuse me. She left off. Which I guess I'll start with my because I feel forgotten.
Well, there's so many. I mean, they're all meaty and good and happening.
So is my turn to introduce?
Yes, Hersh, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Hersh Ellis. I'm the director of Question, which is currently in like a play film hybrid format that is then going to become a more film format going forward. And then I'm a freelance theater director based out of New York City. I'm currently developing a play with Crystal Skillman called Rain and Zoe Save the World that apparently is not in her top 3 projects.
It is in my top 3 projects. I'm trying to pick the 3. I'm like between 5 and 3. But yes.
That was very much on a track to be seen off Broadway next season, and we're in an interim period of figuring out where and when that's going to happen. But we're very excited that after this period, it's going to be seen because we've been developing it for a couple of years now. And then I'm a freelance director who mostly works in developing new work. Which means I do readings.
And does them very well.
Freelance director who does new work in New York City.
Amazing. Wow. The first question, and I already feel like I'm talking to 2 celebrities. Oh, thank you. So just to let you give you an idea of where I'm coming from, Brian shared with me that you're creating a virtual play of sorts, and I wanted to know very little about it coming in, so that when I was asking you the questions, I'm genuinely asking you, and kind of more of an organic conversation than trying to highlight certain specific things. So wherever the answers take you, please just feel free to talk about that. I love how passionate both you are about the things
we
you've
talk like this
said.
all the time. We are like partners in crime, so we're working on so many things together, and that's not even. There are still more things we didn't mention. So
yeah,
I love that. So then my first real question. So you 2 have worked before together in the past before this project, yes?
Yes, I think we started 2 years ago.
Feels like forever, but yeah, I guess it's 2.
Oh my God. Yes, it does. In a great way.
Yeah. And in a good way. In a great way, of course. Yeah.
And what was your first project together?
I think, well, we were talking, the first project actually, which is kind of fun, was that Hersh had a very specific vision. And this is like in the way back machine. We were just, I think, excited about each other because we both work in plays and musicals, and we're both excited about hybrid forms and doing different things with those forms. Yeah. And so we just were simpatico right away, and it's just so rare in this world that I can talk as much about people working on Broadway or off Broadway and with the similar things we were with a similar viewpoint. But the first idea is that Hersh had an idea for Pan's Labyrinth, like a musical version of Pan's Labyrinth. But so we started talking about that, and then he got to know Mary Max through that, because that world is also very fantastical, but also moving and emotional. And so then he started helping us a little on that project, and still is a friend of the family there. And then from there, we started working on Rain and Zoe Save the World, which is a theatrical story of 2 teenagers who steal a motorcycle and go cross country to shut down a pipeline. And ends up being a real moving mother-daughter story, because the mother was an extreme climate change activist, and the daughter is hoping to see her at this protest where she's going about the pipeline. So it just was a finalist for the Bay Area Playwrights Festival, has won a lot of awards and stuff. So we did this 29-hour reading about a year ago, and it just got a lot of interest and excitement. And so we've just been building the show from there.
That's amazing. That sounds like something I want to read.
Yeah, I think you'd really, really like it.
Okay. So fast forward to today, and we're working on Question. So where did the seed come from? How was this birthed?
Well, I like to tell the stories that are like, like life is hard, like shit happens, but like then good things can happen. So I actually, there was this director in the UK, or creator, and I really knew them from someone else, and I got the feeling that they felt like they had asked me to be involved with something, but they didn't really care. And it's really kind of interesting that it was, I don't know, like a long time ago, like 10 or so years ago. And it was all virtual, and kept writing about like, ways that were disconnected, but trying to connect. And so I wrote this play to happen on Zoom or Skype. And this person was a little aggressive and gave me tons of notes and tons and tons. They just kept talking to me about it, and then called me up and said, you know what? I can't find a spot for this play in the festival. I'm so sorry. And I did that all for free. Like I wasn't the name I am now, if I am a name. And I was like crushed. And like, so I never saw it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy. I think this is really good. And then when the whole pandemic went down, everyone's like, it's time to write the Zoom play. And it's like, I gotta write the Zoom play. And it's like, I gotta wake up and write the Zoom play, and just like, trying to also the heaviness of the world. So it's not really that funny, but that's many of the festivals going on. And at the same time, I was like, well, I have a Zoom play. And then everybody started to read it and was like, whoa, this is a really interesting. And it's about this, songwriter's son who is zoomed in his philosophy professor mom. And it starts with him singing the song to her, but he has a much deeper thing to ask her about love. And it really catches her off guard, and she realizes how she's been living her life. And so they kind of have this philosophical, practical, emotional conversation in like 7 minutes. And it's just a really moving relationship.
Yeah, I actually didn't know the origin story. That's really fascinating.
I buried it deep inside me until today, hot off the press.
Yeah, Crystal called because it was a day, so we were going to talk. Because we talk most days, and she called. Hey, our mutual friend Nina Key was curating a festival of Zoom plays. Do I want to work with her on this piece that she wrote a while ago, and read it, and Brian called, and so we realized we're making this thing for now two different showings of it. But it really struck me how interesting it was to talk about what does it mean to be fully present with somebody right now, and what does it mean to connect with somebody, and what does it mean to have a distant relationship with them, and then what does that tell us about the relationships we have in close proximity, and in this period where we're all suddenly reevaluating what our life was before. Like I feel like we're in this schism moment of before and after right now. So we in our mind set this piece in the immediate aftermath of this moment, which is not a thing that you would need to know to understand the piece, but in our heads, that's where we're processing it. So we're putting it in. So we're talking about it in the before and after. What does it mean to be reflecting back on this time period where everything we assumed was normal is no longer normal. So what do we actually want to add back into our lives?
And he's so stressed out, like, and he doesn't want to be alone, but yet he doesn't want to, he's just moved in. The son has just moved in with his like 5-year, a 5-year relationship girlfriend. But that night when he plays at a bar, he sees someone, and it just feels right as he's playing, and they connect his souls, and he's asking like, what does that mean? Like, and can I sacrifice that kind of passion to live a life that's stable? And I think because we've said it in a post-COVID, there really is not going to be a post-COVID world, but in February of next year, whatever that may be, the idea of being isolated again and rejecting stability is something someone wouldn't want to do, and especially at that young age, and being confused. And a mother that has to, the first thing that happened with this whole thing was, I love teaching, but teaching is my day job. So when it automatically was like, great, and for free, now you get to make all this content for us and figure it all out, it was like, whoa, okay. And luckily playwriting is easy and fun to do with that. I mean, I can't even imagine other mediums, and they've risen to the occasion, which is terrific. But it ate into my time, my creative time. And so Jessie is just someone who, the mom is just someone who is just trying to make as much money as possible to stay afloat and doing all these classes, and she's really, really drained. And you can really see it on the Zoom call, like, between having a million Zoom calls and actually teaching in kind of the Midwest.
Yeah, no, I was really struck by this piece and how much it spoke to the current, to this moment we suddenly find ourselves in, because I feel like we're just because we're in this period of like, just because you have time to make something doesn't mean you actually have something to say. So the fact that it's just so, like, yes, you have time to create, but like we're so being overwhelmed with the amount of content just being thrown out and put in front of the world. But then Crystal shared this piece with me, and like, oh no, this is the moment we're in right now. Like, we have to say this.
Wow.
I think two terrific actors that felt the same way in Salma Shah and Tony Vo.
Love that. So right now, what stage of production are you in? And have you kind of so Crystal, you originally wrote the script, right? So it was, sorry, real quick clarifying question. The script was written to be performed virtually, correct? Or was it
to be, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they never did it.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
How disappointing.
I did poach. There is a beautiful monologue I did poach for another short play that was shortly seen, and it was nice, but it didn't quite have the impact it did in the original, I think.
So now that you're in the middle of editing, where are you in the production process? And has anything needed to be reworked or changed in any way? Because this is a kind of new medium for us.
Well, the thing about working with Crystal is that like we always say in the theater, you never finish a play, you just open it. But like I never realized like that is more true for Crystal than it is with most, because she can walk into a rehearsal room with 20 new pages every day, and like that's normal. Like that's just how she works. And it's really terrific to work with a writer who's constantly editing their work and it's getting clearer, and I've been learning more about the play through that process. So yeah, there've been a couple of drafts of this. And another draft, like the draft that is shown tomorrow night, is going to be a different draft that we finally shoot for this more finalized film version that we do.
Yeah, and I started. I've been writing some TV stuff, some stuff that's going to go on Insta TV. Like at some point this year, a project called Overnight Success, and then have been talking with TV folks and doing a lot of screenwriting after this. When I first wrote this, I had never really screen wrote, so it was actually pretty good. I would like, for that sense, like capturing a theatricality, but also it is like a film. So now that I have those skills under my belt, it's fun to tighten and be like, what dialogue is falling out, where is it not, where can I see the actors filling everything in from what they're doing. So like it's nice to be looking at it again, having those skills, and refining it a little bit. Yeah.
Amazing. Is the writing process, or sorry, writing is revising, right? Is the revision and writing process different, seeing your work versus on stage versus over a Zoom call?
I'm looking for, and I got a little obsessed with, I was talking about it yesterday in another meet, like, everybody just Google, tell me if I'm crazy. Oh, can you hear that? Like, I have my emails. I hope that's okay.
Oh, that's fine.
It's not a great, I just want to let you know it's from the White House. And unfortunately, yeah, I got on the White House e-blast list with Obama, which was great. And now I'm just part of the Orwellian machine, which always starts out with Trump quoting himself and then quoting other people that were in a meeting with him. And then just like images, usually religious, placed around other images. It's really not well done at all, but somehow it works for him. But basically, in terms of, wait, what was the question? I got so distracted by the White House.
Yeah, no problem. Question is the writing slash revising process different seeing your work on a stage versus seeing it on a
Oh,
Zoom
yes.
call?
So the thing I've become a little obsessed with is Harold Pinter reciting the end of Beckett's novel, The Unnameable.
This is the
Um,
heard about this in like 3 days.
there it's he says it at Samuel Beckett's wake, and it's like, I don't know, in the 70s or maybe the 60s. And it is like on a crappy VHS. It's like really like just he's wearing a pretentious turtleneck. And but it's riveting and it pierces through. And I think that's what and it's something that Mr. Burns, which is a play that I love, and I love Anne Washburn as well, as a friend and as a writer. And that kind of work is theatrical, but it also pierces through a screen. It does something. So it's a kind of theatricality that can leap forward. And so I'm looking for that kind of Zoom sense of naturalism, but heightened. A good example too would be like web series. I guess because I've been creating some of my own stuff going viral, I was really aware that like I liked things that got into something musical or a little heightened or popped a little bit. I was definitely zoning out watching shows that were like, sitting on a couch eating pizza and like just, but then again, I like Parks and Rec. I like those kinds of shows, but I'm not a big fan of those kinds of shows. I'm really interested in a kind of sense of the fantastical in storytelling. So this age of Black Mirror and this age of these interesting kinds of shows are kind of my time, because this is the kind of stuff I never really was so into the family drama. So this is really helpful.
Yeah. Well, and also, like it's not a novel thing to say, but it is when you're trying to create a piece that works in a theatrical setting and a filmic setting. You do have to look at them side by side. That in a theatrical setting, language wins. Language and visual are both essential for theater, but in theater the language will win, whereas in film the visual will win. So like the piece for tomorrow night will air close from the side of theater. It's language driven.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about how do we make this a film, it's really in finding the visuals of it and how to visually drive the narrative, because the visuals just visual in film is a visual medium. Like it's not necessarily a novel concept, but that it is the thought process we had to go through and how to translate this cinematically is finding a visual storytelling for what's an essentially extremely visually static medium of FaceTime. You're stuck in a very small box with a very small focus range of a small room.
And I think to hold the hand of the or hold the ear, this is terrible, of the listener, filling that in. So if you're watching when you're watching tomorrow, of course you're watching tomorrow, but when you're watching, you'll be seeing the Zoom call editing, which is riveting into itself. The next step will be some of these memories that are talked about being filmed, as we talked about, so that in a weird, and I think that's the concept that we got most excited about. I think it was Hersh that had it first, like maybe we see these memories and at first we went more like almost like naturalistically within the Zoom world, like did a box open up and then would you see a memory, like, I don't know, is it done by puppets or something like that's first, and then we're like, no, let's make it a film and let's cut away too, but how we cut away and how that memory comes in and how the mother's listening, he's telling it, but yet we are seeing it. And I think the Zoom setup gives us some extra tension there.
Oh, wow. You guys are getting me really excited. I was already excited. So
And I was like, Hersh is now in Kansas City.
Yes.
And I am in New York City, where everybody wants to be, the city that does sleep now 24 hours a day. No, I'm just kidding. It's a lot is happening, but it's a really intense time. And so like even some of the things Hersh was talking about doing, like I know we can go out here, but like, I'm in Bourne Hill, Brooklyn, and if you go out at 8 o'clock at night now, like it's weird. It's talk about Black Mirror. It's like you don't want to be out there. Like it's another universe now. So when Hersh was like, we can go to this, we'll be socially distant, but we'll go to this place and there's a red light here and we'll do that. I was like, whoa, like I hadn't even thought about that. I was just like, how do I run with my mask on? Like this is really complicated. So this is I think what's also, it kind of ignited my sense of responsible guerrilla filmmaking. Like I just think that's exciting. I've always thought that's exciting. I'm a 70s film person. Like it makes me excited.
Well, and I'm really enjoying getting to learn a new skill because I'm actually shooting it myself and I've done a lot of film work, but I've never actually DP'd one of my own projects. So this has been really fun for me, like actually figuring out how to shoot it myself, and like, oh, I got to pick out my own lenses, and I got to figure out my own like lighting situations, and that's been a real fun thing that I would never have got. There's so much tragedy in the world around us right now that trying to find the pockets of gain that have come out of this, trying to find the things that we would not have gotten to do otherwise, is I think the only way of finding hope or positivity through this moment. And so I'm actually really grateful that I've had this ability to learn how to DP a bit, and I've also learned that I am not a DP, and I will not be suddenly be the cinematographer in all my films going forward. But I'm so grateful for having had the chance to do that.
So, Hersh, before we move on, when you reference DP, can you explain what that is for us real quick?
Cinematographer, which is the person who on a film lights, has the shot listing meeting with the director, comes up with the shot list, comes up with the shots collaboratively. Which again, doing that on my own again was really an odd thing, because I'm used to having a collaborator to bounce off of through that process. 1 second, there's people yelling in my house. Are they coming up, Allie?
No problem. They did, but it's totally fine.
Sorry.
That's okay. Take a second. Focus.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Totally.
Can we not yell through the house, please? Thank you.
I was on an interview, and then my husband was talking about comic books or something, and I was doing a Hal Brown thing. I started getting these texts being like, "We could hear Fred." It was like this whole thing. I was
My
like,
cat's
"Oh
been in
Lord."
here the whole time, wanting pets and
Yes.
trying to keep her from meowing.
Oh.
So,
Oh,
yeah, if you want to finish
the
your
person who helps design design the shots together, and then they figure out the lens and the lighting, and how to actually achieve it with the camera rig, and where the focus should pull, and then how to color it in the end. Because film is now all color. It's you recolor a film in post. And learning that stuff for myself has been a terrific benefit, because I am a theater maker who does film. So when I'm on a film set, there is just a technical vocabulary I've lacked, and it's both, I think, been an inhibitor to the process and an inhibitor to me creatively, because I'm trying to compensate for being a couple of technological skill steps behind. So I'm just so grateful that the next larger film set I'm back on, I'm going to I have so much vocabulary now that I didn't have before.
Amazing. Crystal, you mentioned, I think it was responsible guerrilla filmmaking, and I think that is an amazing concept. And Hersh, I think you touched on this a little earlier, that you were talking to an actor and you said, "We'll stay 6 feet apart. We just need to get this shot." I want to hear a little bit more about that, because especially, everyone's so interested in what everyone's doing during the pandemic and the crisis, and I just really think that's a really neat insight that I'd like to hear more about.
Yeah, we started talking about this idea of like, film will probably come back before theater does, and there will probably be this interim period where, while we are safe to gather, we still need to be aware of our contact, because it's technically safe to go out, but we're not quite sure yet. Or at least it will be. It will be safe to go out. Maybe who knows? Maybe in the next 6 weeks. But we're not sure what the aftermath is. We're not sure if we're still spreading these terrible germs everywhere. So how do we do that safely? How do we do that responsibly? With the veneer of normal, and thinking about that in how do we keep creating in a way that's not endangering anybody, because no one's interested in that. And so while I wouldn't think about trying to arrange a full film shoot in the period we're currently in. I was going to call one actor who was here in Kansas City that I could say, hey, I need to get these series of shots. I will use a long lens. We will stay 6 feet away. We will be outside. You're going through the checklist of how do you stay safe. Because I've been walking with my grandmother every day, because I'm in Kansas City, so my family's here, and like knowing that she's, you know, in her late 70s and I don't want to get her sick, so we're going through the checklist of like what are the steps we have to take to keep her safe, where I can still spend so I can still spend time with her. And it's okay, so we walk, you know, we meet somewhere, we stay 6 feet apart when we're walking. My grandmother, who does not understand social distancing at all, has tried to give me a hug. Every time I've seen her, I had to explain to her that like we were at a stop sign. We had to press the button to cross the street because, you know, the walk signs are not automated here. Press a button, and she pressed it with her hand. I said, Nana, and I said, use your elbow, and she said, why? Now my elbow's dirty. And I said, yeah, but you're not going to touch your elbow to your face. Figuring out how to apply that to filmmaking, and then realizing that that's going to again add to a story that we're making about distance. You can feel distance. You can feel distance in cinematography. You know, a long lens feels like a long lens. You can feel how far the camera is away. You can feel, you know, if we have to shoot through glass because we need to shoot an indoor setting, but it's not safe for me to go inside somebody's indoor space, so we got to shoot through glass. You can feel the extra layer of glass between. You can just feel the distance, and knowing that that's actually further adding to the story we're trying to tell about what does it mean to actually be with somebody, be present with someone, be connected with somebody.
We're putting all that into there's lots of projects. You see, we didn't have time in the beginning to list them all. We're starting to write a short film about you know, basically a guy and a girl meeting in this scenario, and filming it socially distanced this summer. So like a short film.
Yeah. Oh, that's really exciting. Dating in this whole is fascinating to me. Amazing. Okay, so your actors are all over, right?
Yeah.
You've got someone in LA, someone in NYC. So where are they all based? How are you? I guess how are you working with your actors to direct the video they send you?
Yeah, so we went through this really convoluted way of trying to figure out how to shoot a Zoom conversation, because the base of this will still be a Zoom conversation even in the more developed film version. And then we've had to figure out how to shoot it for tomorrow night. We've already shot what you all are going to see tomorrow, and it's we've seen a rough cut of the edit. It looks really great. I just got off a meeting with the editor to go through notes for that, to get that sent over to y'all tomorrow. But we had to figure out how to shoot Zoom because we needed clean coverage. You know, when you shoot a scene, the basic scene composition, or for filmmaking, you have 3 shots. You have your master shot, which is both people, and then you have coverage of each of the actors. And you usually have multiple points of coverage, but we had to think on a Zoom call, what is our 2 shot and what's our coverage? So our 2 shot is the side by side of the 2 actors. It's you see both of them on their screens. We know what that looks like. And then the coverage is just a full screen of each of them, their individual box. So we need to figure out how to capture those, through the software we have, knowing that we're in 3 completely different places. 4 if you count 4 because Crystal was in on rehearsal yesterday, and 5 with the editor. So to figure out how to capture the footage of that. And I went through all these convoluted methods of trying to problem solve. You know, do we use a live streaming app that then translates to Premiere, but oh no, there wasn't one that translates to Premiere, so we'll get one that translates to Final Cut and then convert the file. Those are different editing softwares, because I knew the editor works in Premiere. And I was talking to my godmother, who's a filmmaker, and she said, no, I figured out how all the late night shows are doing it. I said, what do you mean? And I said, first of all, I'm about to drop a big knowledge bomb on y'all right now, because this blew my mind. According to her, and it honestly worked quite well for us, this is how the Tonight Show and all the other shows that are recording remotely are doing it right now, which is you do a Zoom call. Crystal and I were on the call with the actors. Crystal and I turned our video and audio off. The actors put themselves onto active speaker view. They minimized their own video of themselves and then pressed record. So what happened is each of the actors were recording the other actor, because in active speaker view, the only other active speaker on the call was the other person they were talking to. So they were recording each other. I had mine on active speaker view, so I was filming it, and I was cutting back and forth between the 2 of them because it was identifying whoever was talking. So we recorded those individual files. The actors then sent their files to me, because Zoom, once you finish, Zoom sends you like a Dropbox link to the footage of the meeting. All 3 of those files got sent to the editor, and then he built the 2 shot of both of them, and then cut the 4 pieces together to make the edit that y'all are going to see tomorrow.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I've been watching John Oliver a ton. I can't and like wondering like how do they do this? All the graphics and collaboration when you can't even see people. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then we're actually having to cheat. We're generating FaceTime graphics because we figured FaceTime was the more authentic app that they would be talking as. Mother, son, and Zoom. Though actually, I've learned like a lot of my meetings, even if they're one-on-one, I choose to do them in Zoom because Zoom captures better. It's weird. I don't know what it is, but their bandwidth is just better. But FaceTime felt like the more authentic medium to talk in. So we've actually generated some FaceTime graphics to kind of trick that we shot this in Zoom, but it looks like FaceTime.
That's amazing. Okay, we're running up on 30 minutes, 48 seconds of recording. So I just want to make sure that there's 2 other things I wanted to grab from you, if it's okay. One, Crystal, I wanted to get just a general summary of question. Introduce me to it. What I know nothing. What's the story? What should I expect coming in? And then also, I would really love to hear what you 2 are most excited about with the release of the project.
Great. In question, son songwriter, this guy in his early 20s calls up his mother, seemingly to play her his new song, but he has a larger question that ends up being existential, large, and looming about love, and it startles her and forces her to re-examine her own life.
Perfect. Thank you. Hersh, seemed like you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was
anything
trying
to
to figure out what the answer was for the next question.
Great. Yes, please. What you're most excited about. Yes.
So it's 2 things. I've narrowed down to 2 things. One is we have 2 terrific actors. Salma Shah is someone who we just worked with on a reading of Brandon's Always Save the World, and I honestly think she's like the best kept secret of New York City theater. Like you just watch her work, and you're like, how is this lady not on Broadway? Like how is that not happening? Because she is something else. And then the other thing is I'm really curious to see how the like grainy Zoom footage works with this like beautiful 6K cinematically shot footage that we're marrying it with to create this kind of hybrid theatrical or filmic language.
Did you say 6K?
Yes.
Oh wow! I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Learning so much. Perfect.
Yeah, we're shooting in 6K. We will not be airing it in 6K because TV is but we're shooting in 6K because it gives us a much it's a larger image that then we'll get just sort of like you can shoot in 4K, but the image gets smaller, and we really wanted the cinematic feel to it, and it lets in more of the world.
Awesome. Crystal, what are you most excited about with this project for question?
Well, that makes me super excited. I started in photography and studied visual art for 5 years with theater as a minor. So, I always say I'm an art school baby, like I am. So that to be talking about this, about how the images tell the story, to also, feeling like I'm getting under my belt some work as a screenwriter, it's just really exciting because it's what I love about it is that there's a clear story, but there's an experimental quality, like with how these memories come out of the conversation and how the audience, it's really active how the viewer is participating with the film. And it's something that is a short film that it would be great to see on your iPhone. That would be great to see. You can project it, but it's really to consume it in the way you normally consume. You're really going to feel it just does everything that I love. You're going to feel like a fly on the wall. You're going to feel like you're going to get Hershs style as a director with these memories being evoked and what that means. And, it's just going to be that kind of thing that you just get sucked into based on relationship of language and image, and that's really always riveting stuff to me.
Yeah. But the contrast is so clear, and like how to act for Zoom is such an interesting thing because it's like the natural of natural, like it's natural as you can get. because there's nothing performative about that. But it feels completely voyeuristic, as opposed to these memories that feel like they are purposefully cinematic and not natural and heightened, and it's complete contrast, which is really cool space to work in.
And the whole team is just, a real dream team. And that I've always been in love with Gabby Alter's music. We have a mutual friend, Idamar Moses, who's a playwright, and he's always been like, you guys got to work together. You guys got to work together. And we're now in the Civilians R&D group, and we're creating the show, which dissects that money itself is fictional, is based on a belief, and we're creating this theatrical show where we interview people about money and to create songs and text out of it to explore that. But he also is an incredible songwriter and has all these great albums that I've always loved. So to have his music in there is really great. To have it being to have Tony be the son, Tony Vo, who worked on original back in the day workshops of Rain and Zoe, and is an incredible actor. And I fell in love with him as an actor in The Lobbyists, in which he is a band member and an actor. And it's just that thing where I hand over the song and in 10 seconds he knows it, but it's also a riveting way to start the film. The call starts, he's playing the song. It really draws you in because it's like, why is he playing the song? And the lyrics and the song itself are so evocative, and the acting is. So it's a really different kind of a film.
That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't get to half of my questions, but what you guys said was amazing, and I'm so thankful for you sharing this with me, and for taking a few times to do the podcast. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Anything that we didn't talk about that you just really feel passionate about?
Yeah. Do we have any other upcoming things, Hersh, that we want to say?
The big ones, Rain and Zoe, which keep your ears out. We have so much exciting stuff happening with it that we can't exactly talk about yet. But we are so excited that that's going to be seen in a very, very large spotlight very soon. Once and being back in the theater.
So
yes.
Rain and Zoe.
Rain and Zoe Save the World, and it will also feature that project also features music by Bobby Cronin, who is the composer of Randomacts the musical. And to see the team that Hersh is putting together come together, it's going to be a really riveting show, and it really is literally about saving the world and about climate change. And the pandemic is obviously very closely related to environmentalism and all these things, but this is our survival of the pandemic in many ways is to service the real next fight, which is climate change. So we feel like this is an important piece to work on. Yeah.
And the pandemic is teaching us so much about, sorry, I've got dogs running around here. The pandemic is teaching us, I think, so much about how we fight climate change, because it is an invisible enemy. And it's what we're learning is we really do have to step it up, because I don't want to know what the too late version of climate change is, because the too late version of the coronavirus response was terrifying.
Yeah, is.
Yeah. Is. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. I love the connection to climate change. It was one of my favorite parts of the monologue that you wrote for us for Scary Stories, Crystal. Just that. I've never seen a horror film or a horror story based on climate change. What happens, and that's such an interesting, haunting thing to look at. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, Hersh and Crystal. That's all I have for you today, and I definitely want to let you get back to work since we're showing it tomorrow. So
thank you for having us.
We loved being here, Allie. You're so wonderful, and I loved your work on my piece. I really, really did. So more.
And we're so grateful to be asked to make something for y'all.
Yes.
I cannot wait to watch it. Break a leg. Good luck. And I hope you don't lose too much sleep between now and tomorrow night working.
Thank you very much, Allie.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a good day.